Alright, Section 9, Engine Control Governor. Description. Engine control governing with the electro-hydraulic device used to regulate with the horsepower output of the diesel engine, also include the number of auxiliary devices protect to provide power plant characteristics desired for the railway locomotive. Serve the governor is a self-contained unit with a mounted on an Erie-driven diesel engine. It is equipped with its own supply oil pressure pump and remotely controlled with the locomotive throttle. During operation, the governor performs the two basic functions. The primarily control of the speed of the diesel engine by regulating amount of fuel supply with the engine cylinder at the speed setting with the governor speed control with the isochronous that is governing maintained with the constant engine speed regardless for the change of the condition of the load. But the secondary function of the governor is to maintain constant predetermined horse output with the engine each of the speed setting with the accurately control of the engine load. Control of the engine load is accomplished by adjusting strength of the generator to feel with the compensate electrical load changes on the generator, those resulting from the variable auxiliary loads such as air compressor, battery charging generator, etc. These wide provide as well, the primary function of the governor is maintaining the speed of the engine. The controlling of both speed and load condition balance can be established, which result in the constant single horsepower output at each speed setting of the engine. Auxiliary function. The governor also has the following auxiliary functions: remote electrical throttle control with the 8-notch speed from 400 to 1,000 RPMs, but plus the shutdown position. Overriding normal load control operation, control wheel slip with some application dynamic braking features. Automatic shutdown diesel engine in the event of the failure of lubricating oil pressure, failure of the cooling water pressure. The two switches for the governor provide lights and bell warnings to the operator with either of the devices tripped. An idle speed time delay provided with the safety device. Shutdown device permits starting of the engine while providing short down protection if the pressure fails to develop within a lot of time. Overspeed fuel shutoff valve will automatically shut off fuel with the engine case of the engine. Overspeed limiting fuel supply with the engine during the starting and provide improved starting characteristics. Your inspection maintenance solenoid table, sequence table, throttle notch, and governor speed solenoid energized. There's 8 solenoids, 4 cylinders, 8 throttles. Alright, solenoid sequence test where the test engine shut down, position the reverse handle and off, move the selector handle to pushing 1, move the throttle to idle position, move the air, have the air system charged with the locomotive brake applied, remove electrical connector with the governor, with a twist pulling outward from the governor, remove the top of the cover, taking care of the dirt foreign matter from dropping over the governor, reinstall the electrical connector, close the battery switch, re-negative the circuit breaker, the fuel pump circuit breaker, the control circuit breaker, move the EC switch, to run, make sure the proper power unit switch is normal. Depress the safety control foot pedal if used in advance of the throttle head idle. Check the governor solenoid pickup with each numbered notch. Solenoid operation may be checked by either feeling the solenoid throttles moved in the notch to notch by observing the short visible length of the short solenoid plunger, which can be seen below the solenoid support solenoid sequence table. Move the throttle handle back to idle. Move the AC switch to start and depress the engine stop button. Thus, the D solenoid should be energized. Sorry. If any of the solenoids fail to operate, check the internal governor wiring that also connects to the governor electrical connector. And this shows your left side of the governor cover removed. And then PG, this shows your PG governor wiring connections. 8. After checking the sequence carefully, remount the governor cover to reinstall the electrical connectors. Checking the governor wiring. To check with the internal wiring of the governor, the engine shutdown proceed as follows. Disconnect the electrical connector for the governor. Use the meter and check with the pin number 9 to pins 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and turn the dash sheet with solenoid resistant values. Connect the meter from the pin number 10 to pin 11. The oil safety shutdown plunger is out. The oil meter should indicate the closed circuit with zero resistance. Push the oil safety push down plunger in. Circuit should read open infinite resistance. The meter with connect with the 10 pin to pin 12. The repeat with the test moving the water shutdown plunger out and in. Use an meter to check with the resistant load control panometer by measuring the pins 2 and 3 from pins 1 and 2 and in 1 and 3. Later 2 readings will vary depending on the position of the rheostat brush arm. After loading along surface of the unusual high erratic resistant reading of the road between the rotating brush resistor and may be covered with the function oxidizing surface of the rheostat communicator contact brush to see instruction cleaning inspection of the governor parts. Governor oil. Type of the weight of the oil used in the governor should agree with that is given the fuel and lubrication system. Particular locomotive application. In most cases, the engine lubricating oil is recommended with the ordinary condition, with the temperature condition, with the operating with extreme hot may be desired. And SAE 40 or 50 weight oil with extremely cold SA10. In any case, the oil must be contain additives which are used to free up the rings, move the carbon, etc. Unless the non-foaming additive also presents, the oil should not foam sludge when agitated or form gummy deposits when heated. Alright, caution. Most governor troubles are with the cause of dirty oil, therefore always should be checked with clean, new, well-filtered oil. Never mix oils which are incompatible. All containers used for the handling must be clean and should be rinsed using light grease, grade fuel oil, kerosene before using. Oil level. The governor oil level must be maintained between the lines of the oil gauge of the engine running. Oil should be added slowly through a filler cap on the top of the cover. The oil level is above below the lines of the gauge when running will cover the aeration of the oil, resulting in a hunting condition. Changing oil and flushing of the governor. Governor should be changed at the intervals according to the recommendation of the locomotive lubrication service and instruction. Change of the governor oil proceed as follows. Will the engine stop? Open the drain cocks on the side of the governor case of the oil under the underside of the load control parameter housing. Apply with the container to catch the used oil. 2. Close the drain cocks. Fill the governor with a clean new oil from the filler cap. The start of the engine. I allow the operate with idle speed. Cause the load control vane with the servo meter to move through its full travel several times. By removing and reconnecting the governor, electrical connector, more oil must be slowly added to the governor until the load control parameter housing will become full and the oil level remains between the lines of the oil gauge. After refilling, the governor oil with oil-trapped air must be bled from the governor oil system. See compensation adjustment. In the desired flush governor system, after the following, the governor described above, operating engine idle speed until it becomes warm and completely circulated. And shut down the engine. Repeat steps 1, 2, 3, 4 using clean new oil. Flushing of the governor with a material such as the fuel oil kerosene is not recommended because of the governor mounting of the engine. The material cannot be completely drained and therefore will cause dilution of the governor oil and contamination of the governor valves with dirt. Caution: when changing the governor oil, it is important that the governor be surged enough to complete with a fill the load control with the pneumatic housing before applying the power to the load control circuit. But this is required because of the oil serves to dissipate heat generated in the resistor element. Alright, governor adjustments. Compensation of the adjusting. When the engine has been started for the first time and after the governor has been changed, the governor oil system must be purged or trapped air. To purge the system, loosen either the vent plugs that apply opposite side of the governor power case just far enough to establish a leak. These plugs are identified with the instruction plates. So the engine allow the operator to idle, opening the compensating needle valve 5 times the current to cause the engine and governor to hunt. Thus, alternating the movements of the governor will force the all-trapped air from the governor oil of the passages out of the vent plug. All the engine with the hunt with the idle speed long enough to bleed with the trapped air of the governor of evidence the solenoid with the bubbles draining of the vent plug with the type of the vent plug necessary and add oil with the result with a corrective valve level. Close the compensating needle valve flow with the engine hunting condition and the minimized eliminated allow the engine to run at idle speed until the engine governor as it reaches normal operating temperature. Governor oil approximately 180 degrees Fahrenheit. When the engine operating temperature has been reached, open the compensating needle valve again with the shovel to turn with the cowl of the engine to hunt with the clove of the needle valve until the hunting is completely eliminated. This will usually occur with the needle valve is open between 1/4 and 3 full turns. The correct setting will depend on the characteristics of the particular engine. The stability of the governor by distributing the engine speed. Move with the throttle high notch. Move back to the idle position. Press down lightly with the governor shut down rod. The engine returns to steady speed. Adjustment is satisfactory. Continue to hunt. If it continues hunting, close the needle valve slowly. Test again. Keep the needle valve as far as possible, preventing sluggish and still obtain stability. Once it is correct, adjust the engine. No further adjustment should be required except at the time of the oil change, and if a large permanent temperature change takes place affecting the viscosity of the engine governor oil. Matching the engine pump rack to govern the diesel engine shut down with the start of the contactors blocked open or insulated, adjusting the engine fuel pump rack to match the governor piston gap as followed. Remove the governor top cover, the install of the piston, power piston, jack the top of the power piston, tail rod, see figure 9.3. Alright, 9.3 is over here, shows the solenoids D, B, A, and C, and D solenoid. Alright, do not install in figure X7 for the dimension of the refer to the governor. Alright, do not install the manual speed setting tool and install the proper power piston gap marking for the full load piston gap. Turn the nut on the jack screw of the raise of the power piston firmly clamped with the gauge to the up pry bar may be used under the power position to show the devise the raising of the power piston. Each pump rack should now read millimeters travel as specified in the dash sheet with the full load and the fuel setting. If the travel of any pump rack is not properly set with the full load piston gap of the individual rack limit, link pump rack to obtain the correct setting, see figures 9 and 6 with the make adjustment, loosening the lock nuts, release the spring clip, disengage the link of the term of the threaded portion in or out of the length to shorten it. Figure 9 shows measuring the piston gap, adjusting all the racks to obtain the correct full load, setting back off of the power piston jack tool, clamp the portion of the gauge marked to idle position. The pump rack should now read millimeters specified in the dash sheet. Idle fuel setting. Pump rack back of the pump power piston jack tool completely with the pump rack should not read 0 to 3 millimeters when all case shut down. Alright, note, when making adjustment described above, always approach of the rack, setting from the lower setting of the adjacent with the desired setting of the exceeding off the back off of the power piston with the next lower setting with the approach of the desired setting that's necessary to eliminate errors and rack readings that would otherwise result in the loss of motion of the rack linkage. Check the adjustable rack links have been secured, remove the power piston jack tool, and restore the governor cover. Caution, do not attempt to start with the tension the power piston with the jack tool installed as if the governor will unable to control the engine full rate of this. The engine damage may result with the overspeeding. Alright, engine speed settings. Before any attempt is made to check with the reset of the engine speed with the governor piston gap of the engine fuel pump must be correctly managed as described above. For the following speed checks, the adjusting of this accurately calibrated tachometer must be attached to the engine to determine the crankshaft speed. 9.5 shows your fuel pump shaft linkage, shows the injection pump, the bow ender, the rack shaft, spring clip, and adjustable link. Engine speed check. Start the engine allowed to warm up at the normal operation temperature. With the throttle and idle, reverse the handle and neutral. Select the handle in position number 1. Idle speed engine. Use the tachometer advance throttle handle. Check speeds. Each numbered notch. See that speed should be then limited with the given the dash sheet. If its speed readings are over the limits, they should be reset. Alright, adjusting engine speed to see the dash sheet with the correct engine speed schedule. With the reverse hand with the neutral position, select hand in position number 1 of the advance throttle to the 6th notch, which is the base speed. With the setting of the engine speed with the necessary adjusting the speed. Use the base setting, the speed setting nut, figure 9.3. Turn the nut counterclockwise, increase the speed with the rigid adjustment of the base speed. With the nut will change the all other speed by an equal amount. Advance the throttle with the 8th notch for the reed with the signal with the necessary with adjusting speed with the loosened lock nut with the top of the solenoid 8 with the using the screwdriver to turn adjusting screw plug to set the speed with the solenoid D with the turning the adjusting screw with the clockwise with the increase the speed tighten the lock nut with each of the trial adjustment. Move the throttle with the 7th notch, check with the speed reading and the necessary with the readjust the speed using the adjusting screw plug on the top of the solenoid A to screw with the lock nut. 4. And remove the throttle handle with the 4th notch, check with the speed reading and the necessary with the readjust the speed using the adjusting screw top on the solenoid B so secure locking nut. Move the throttle handle with the idle, check with the idle speed, necessary readjust the speed using adjusting screws and tie on the top of the solenoid C with the locking nut. Recheck the engine speed settings to ensure the final settings are correct. If the settings are not within limiting, given repeat the steps of the 5 above. Alright, now when setting of the engine speed, if all of the speed with the found to be higher or low, am I in an equal amount with the only necessary to adjust for the base speed with the same with the nut raising low or all. Readjusting engine speed setting will affect with adjusting of the governor shutdown, not through oil pressure shutdown bypass valve with the speed setting, piston stop screw, therefore after making any speed adjustment, check with adjustment of the shutdown nuts, speed setting, piston stop screw, within bypass valve with the adjustment of these items previously described in this section. Load control adjustment. Although all the governor adjustment is important, this should be made only by experienced servicemen. It is extremely important that load control adjustment be properly set to directly affect the horsepower output of the power plant. Number of the malfunction power plant system with the detected automatically compensated by load control mechanism. This will be indicated by the load control parameter bush arm indicator white dot visible through the load control window operating near the minimum field op portion. While the engine is operating in load, some of the instance conditions may be mistaken malfunction with the governor. Therefore, before making an adjustment with the governor, investigate the following items. 1. Check to see all the cylinders are firing properly. 2. See the generator excitation system is functioning properly. That the auxiliary governor voltage is correct. 3. Be sure the engine fuel rack is free to move with a properly matched with the governor power piston. The fuel rack's linkage must be free to move with a somewhat beyond the normal full fuel position. 2. Permit proper function of the loading control mechanism. 2. Adjust the load control mechanism. Proceed as follows. 1. Set the speed. The engine speed is correctly set with the speed indicator for the governor is calibrated to stop idle and full speed. Described lines on the indicator plate coincide with the indicator pointer for each of the speed with the engine speed setting. 2. Operate the engine at idle speed. 3. De-energize the overriding O solenoid by disconnecting the electrical connector for the governor, loosen the lock nut over the top of the O solenoid, turn the adjusting screw point with the plunger at least 2 and 1/2 over the turns of the bottom of the necessary to ensure the overriding solenoid does not affect the operation load control pilot valve with the making of the following adjustments. While the engine operating with idle speed, check with the calibration load control pilot valve indicator as follows. Alright, apply a bit of the long screwdriver over the head of the eccentric clamp screw with the ray with the lower layer over the control pilot valve. Observe the position of the brush arm indicator white on the dot window. Continue the position of the pilot valve until the brush arm indicator remains stationary and the barely creeps in either direction when positioned with the near its midpoint. When the conditions reach the pilot valve, the same with the properly calibrated pilot valve indicator point should be exactly coincide with the 0 mark and indicator scale. Note if the load control of the pilot valve with adjusted minimum field start will be necessary to loosen the eccentric adjusting clamp with the screw to permit the pilot valve to manually be centered. B. If the indicator is not correctly calibrated, loosen the indicator mounting screw. Shift the indicator scale plate up, down, and because of the containment pointer exactly coincide with the 0 mark while the pilot valve is centered with the tightening of the mounting screw. No, if the indicator scale is downward position, the indicator should be calibrated as valve. Loosen the lock nut under the umbrella of the valve stem using a thin 1.5 inch open end wrench. The thread valve plunger without the adjusting blackout piston pointer exactly 0 with the pointer at the valve center. Each end of the adjusting check with the calibration pilot valve with the indicators described in stamp 4A when adjusting with the correct and tighten the lock nut. 5. Shut down the engine block, open and insulate with the starting contactor to prevent the engine from being accidentally cranked or started during the following adjustment. Install with the manual speed settings tool with the studded provider figure 5.9, not figure 9.3. Turn the tool down until the speed indicator pointer exactly coincide with the idle mark on the indicator scale. Or install the power piston tool on the power piston rail rod. Install the portion of the power piston gap that determine the correct position of the piston gap idle speed. Return to the governor dash sheet. Clamp the gauge firmly. Determine the wing nut on the tool with the 2 assist with the raise of the power piston. Apply with the firing force to the rack linkage near the governor. Leaving the eccentric adjustment with the clamp screw with adjusting the eccentric position of the pilot valve indicator pointer exactly coincide with either the maximum or minimum feed. Either start with the indicator referred to the governor data sheet with the specified setting. Turn the manual speed setting tool down until the speed indicator pointer is exactly coincide with the full speed mark on the indicator scale. With the install of the portion power piston gap with the gauge is obtained with the correct power piston gap with the full speed full load. Refer to the governor data sheet with the clamp of the gauge firmly with the tightening of the wing nut on the tool with the pilot valve. The indicator pointer should not exactly coincide with 0 mark on the indicator scale. 11. If in step 10 the indicator pointer does not coincide with a 0 mark of the scale, adjusting the screw with the floating lever of the load control pilot valve with the cover of the pointer to move on 1/2 of the distance towards 0 mark, adjusting the eccentric bringing the pointer with the remaining distance exactly in line with the 0 mark. Repeat step 6 and 7. Observe the pointer position. Step 8 has not been changed. Continue adjustment. Describe steps 6 through 11 until the indicator pointer moves to the correct position on the both idle and full speed settings. Remove the governor tools and make sure all adjustments are locked. Alright, caution, extensive engine, 111.1 can't read, GE can resiliently from one, that's messed up. Alright, 14, readjust the overspeed solenoid, see overspeed overriding solenoid adjustment. Your starter fuel limiting device. Starter fuel limiting device consists of the control position directly above the speed setting cylinder with one pivot to the upper end of the restoring link other end. Idle speed setting position approximately 1/8 of an inch floating lever between the speed setting position, power piston, tail rod. Near the center of the control lever, the adjusting screw upon which the governor shutdown does not rest. The cranking of the engine start of the device limited with the governor power piston operating, thus will fuel engine by the lifting of the governor shutdown rod. To effect with the governor turn off signal of the device when properly adjusted has no effect with the governor operation after the engine has been started. To adjust for the starting fuel limiting device proceed to solve with the operating engine idle speed setting at the normal operation temperature. Loosen the back of the shutdown nuts near the top of the shutdown. Look loose for the lock nut lifting screw of the control lever. Turn the screw down until the contacts of the fulcrum assembly overspeed setting piston rod of the lift free end of the control lever approximately 1/18 of an inch off of the floating lever assembly. Tighten then tighten the lock nut. Figure 9.7 shows your engine control governor top right side removed. Alright, turn the speed setting, stop screw with the in slowly with a touch of the top of the position, back it off the 1.5 turns, 1 1/2 turns, tighten the lock nut, provide 3/64 of an inch clearance between the piston, stop screw with the engine operating at lowest normal speed. Turn the shutting nuts of the shutdown rod to enable the lifting rod lightly with the figure of the action should only slack, takes any of slack loss of motion of the inner end of the rod. With slack out, adjust the lower shutdown nut with a have 1/32 inch clearance over the head of the lift of the screw. Lock out the position upper nut. If the above adjustments are correct, the starting of the engine fuel rack should be open approximately 10 to 12 millimeters. Changing governors on the engine, caution to take precaution again with the diesel engine being accidentally cranked by changing the governor's engine. Damage can result if the engine is started with the governor removed. Remove the governor within the engine, have the diesel engine stop with the engine started with the contactors blocked and open. Insulated, remove the electrical connector plug from the governor. Remove the cotter pin with the power piston clevis. Remove the clevis pin with the disconnect with the fuel rack linkage. Disconnect with the external piping attached with the governor. Install eye-bolt governor top cover attached to the hoist support with the engine hood. Lift the governor straight up until the spline shaft clears the governor drive gear cable with the lower governor to the locomotive platform. Alright, governor installation. Make sure the governor drive shaft with the mounting of the strip of the clean. Install the new gasket with the governor mounting. Strip of the hose the governor into position over the governor drive housing aligned with the spline drive and lower the governor into the out position. Now no force should be required to properly seat the governor. Assemble the nuts and lock washers. Secure the governor in position. These will reconnect the fuel rack linkage. Make sure the linkage is properly aligned to prevent damage. Attach external governor piping right in the fitting securely. Check governor oil level. The add oil is required and seat governor oil. Match the fuel rack with the governor power piston. Attach the electrical connector with the governor. Remove the blocking of the engine starting contactors. Prepare the make it an operational test and governor. Remove the governor adjusting previously discussed. Your fuel rack linkage description. Fuel rack linkage connection governing power piston. Individual cylinder pump racks consist of the series lever the shaft and push rods. Fungus links which move the oil ponds, bushings, and adjustable linkage of each fuel pump rack and the only adjustment linkage system. Maintenance. Bearing of the fuel rack linkage are equipped with the oiler buttons that should be lubricated periodically according to the instructions given them in the locomotive lubrication service and schedule. Linkage parts should be also inspected periodically. The binding and excessive loss of motion caused by worn bearings. Note when assembling a fuel rack linkage, tighten the elastic stop non-cylindrical bearing 20 to 25 pounds of foot torque. Over tighten these nuts will distort the bearings and causing the linkage to bind. Our data Ward model number 8550305, governor oil 2 quarts, engine lube oil, governor operating temperature 180 degrees Fahrenheit, governing accelerating time from 443 to 1107 RPM, 25 to 32 seconds, temperature of the final speed schedule, governor piston fuel rack. Our load control settings. Adjust the load control pilot valve. Adjust the load control pilot valve with the maximum field with the start at 1,001 and 1 inch power piston gap at the idle speed setting. The pilot valve with the indicator must come up to zero servo meter between 344 thousandths of an inch power piston gap at the full speed setting. Servo meter timing rate maximum speed to minimum fixed of 18 to 22. Servo timer reading field Maximum field fixed 25 to 32. Servo time reading maximum field to minimum field of overriding solenoid energized in less than 2 seconds. Servo meter pressure vane stationary 37 to 47 psi. Penometer resistance total 44 ohms. Solenoid resistance A, B, C, and D and 0. Cylinder approximately 70 ohms at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Engine oil pressure failure, shutdown, trip pressure, idle, first notch, 7 to 7 to 10 psi, trip pressure, full speed, 45 to 52 psi, trip delay, idle, first notch, adjustable, 35 to 45 speed, second time, trip time, delay, solenoid notch, full speed, 0 seconds. Engine water pressure shutdown, trip pressure, second notch, 0 to 3 psi, trip pressure, full speed, 14 to 18 psi, trip delay, idle, first notch, see engine oil pressure, failure, shutdown. Our gauges measuring device determined during the scheduled inspection period while performing light maintenance of the following gauge measure the device to you for the specific work operation. Engine lubricating oil dipstick, one located at each side of the engine near filler with a stick that is marked with high and low. Proper level of the engine idling between high and low. Fuel oil sight glass mount on both sides of the main fuel tank indicate the level of fuel tanks. Cooling water sight glass mounted on the side of the cooling water supply tank indicates level of cooling water system marks on the tank indicating proper level of condition. Figure 10.2. Compressor lube oil Gardner Denver compressor with gauge mounted with the compressor frame indicates the oil level of the gauge scale with the mark to the add lower red scale full run green scale excessive upper red scale and 10.3 with the tank of the breathing engine shut down Westing compressor maintain oil supply run level on gauge. Alright, show the 10.4 shows your traction generator gear, oil dipstick, and oil drain. The traction generator gearbox has a dipstick, empty and add full, properly living in between the add and full with the engine stop. Figure 710, figure 10.4. Oil bath air filter sight glass. There are 6 filters located to the right and 3 on the left on the side. Rear of the locomotive sight glass is mounted on each filter. Oil must be visible between the lines of the sight glass when the engine is idling. Figure 10.5. Your fan gear unit oil level plug. Maintain the oil level near spill cover. Figure 10.6. Governor oil level sight glass located on the left side. Engine near the traction gear generator. And 10.5 shows your engine air filter oil level indicator. 10.6 shows your fan gear unit servicing points. Figure 7. 10.7, the oil level must be visible between the marks on the sight glass for the engine running. Refer to figure W10, joy locations of the locomotive equipment, other locations service of equipment. And then 10.7 shows your engine control governor, low oil and water reset button, back and oil level sight glass. Alright, brake rigging. Exhaust from the air of the brake zone with the loosening of the jam nut with the piston motor push rod, turning the adjusting nut, root for the piston, travel the nut with the shoe closer with the wheel, with the increase with the move with the shoe away from the wheel with the adjusting, tightening of the jam nut. Piston travel should be held close as possible. Low limit of 3/4 inch travel should not be 3.5 inch maximum. When a piston travel cannot be adjusted with the slack adjuster movement alone, the course adjustment becomes necessary to make the course adjustment reconnect the lower end of the live lever to another. Instead of the course adjustment holds the live lever reconnect with the cylinder push rod. Your brake shoe exhaust air from the brake cylinder. Remove the shoe if possible from the wheel with the tread adjusting black manual slack adjuster picking up the course adjustment. Hammer the keys out of the brake shoe head. Knock the shoes leave with the brake head and remove them sliding up for the wheel out. Insert the new shoes in the brake head, line up the keyways, drive with the keyways, and place check with the shoes for the tightness. And this shows, over here shows your class brake rigging. Shows your slack adjuster brake rigging, detailed lock pan check wear guide. Adjust the manual slack adjuster, obtain 3/4 inch brake cylinder piston travel. Make sure the brake cylinder cutout cocks are open when the work is finished. Then it shows your locomotive here, the apparatus low, and this was the diesel engine mechanical service manual, diesel electric locomotive, General Electric Transportation Division. Couldn't get the year, I don't know. But that completes this book. Erie. Testing.